happened years ago, when I lived on Farlands Road. One day, when I finished soldering the Cummingsifier to the Anglo-stylistic randomizer and my spacecraft is finally finished, after I visited the world of leather, I'll stop off at the world of parking and have a proper look. For now though, we'll settle for a fleeting sense of classicism in a Sheffield car park, for it is Sheffield that is the subject for discussion today, and, as you always used to end your sociology O-level essays with, will remain a subject for discussion for some time to come. If Florence has a world of parking too, which I sincerely hope it does, then I also hope that the Sheffield floor is evoked by the outline of a man with an asymmetrical fringe. Because, when I run my finger along the concrete here, my nerve-endings sense the presence of the human here, shot through the fabric of the city, like the red sugary glistenings in the words in a stick of rock. In The Road to Wigan Pier, George Orwell described Sheffield as potentially the ugliest city in the old world. I would disagree, and I'd be right. I reached for the arm, which was less than 1 micron long, but weighed more than Saturn, and time stood still. I knew I had to escape, but every time I tried to flee, the record was in front of me. Sometimes, in the city, you round a corner and chance upon a park, and sense the countryside surviving beneath layers and layers of cityscape. Sheffield feels like the opposite. You can sense the city preserved within layers and layers of countryside. If the world was a vintage clothing shop, which I sometimes think it is, then the cities would be shirts. And I'd buy Sheffield. And I've actually got a shirt very much like that building. The Human League were a band who emerged in the second part of the 1970s. They scraped together the shards of punk rock, krautrock and glam rock and gave us a glistening cut glass pyramid of no rock at all. They gave us synth pop, cool and dark and funny and anglicised and fully formed. They gave us England, and therefore the world's best ever song title, Da 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 Duchamp Vortex. They gave me myself 5 minutes into my own future, and the red writing on the black background and the scattered Polaroids on the sleeve keep on twitching the thread and calling me back, trying to keep up with my own past. Fancy some adventures in a South Yorkshire landscape? I know I do. Sheffield has more trees per head of population than any other English city. I wonder what this one's name is. I think it's probably Teresa. Park Hill Flats were built to replace the slum that had become known as Little Chicago by the late 1930s. For me, Sheffield too is a city on the edge of forever. When I was a little boy, I believed that the end credits of Dad's Army were filmed in Mary Stevens Park in Stourbridge, and that Captain Scarlet had died and become immortal in the multi-storey car park in Stourbridge. As I got older, I realised that these things weren't true, but sometimes I still feel that they are for a moment. When I was a bigger boy, I knew that I didn't live in Sheffield, but I used to feel that I did. I still do sometimes. The view of Sheffield from the train station is to views of northern cities from a train station what the Dignity of Labour parts 1 to 4 is to obscure electronic 12 inches from my past. Know what I mean? You know what this makes me feel like, don't you?
Charlton Heston at the end of Planet of the Apes.
No, Roddy McDowell at the end of Escape from Planet of the Apes. Quite a few things are doing that recently. I like Andrew Motion as much as the next man, probably more, but I'd still rather it said, jump off the tarmac, there's no stagecoach speed limit, outside the office swings the man on the gibbet. I think Park Hill Flats are beautiful. The residents might disagree.
Okay, what about Devo? What about Frank Sidebottom? What about Fiat Lux?
They say that we don't yet know what 2/3 of the human brain is for. I suspect that I know. That 2/3 of my brain is for archiving all of those imagined futures that never actually came to pass. Half of mine take place in Sheffield, and another half of those are coloured by the shadow of the mushroom cloud that never ballooned over Sheffield as it did in threads long ago in that future in the past. Def Leppard, finally, behind bars. Hold back the night. No, actually, hold back the century and pause it at the point where it could all still have looked like that. The Lyceum, featuring some of the most magnificent Crepusculan dropules to be found anywhere. Antonio Gaudi, isn't it? And just as the city seems sometimes to survive within the countryside, the town sometimes seems to survive within the city. And just when you think that the city has asserted its independence and its individuality beyond question, you catch a glimpse of the horizon and you remember that you're in Yorkshire, and that matters. Just as Sheffield itself gives the occasional twitch upon the thread, calling me back to it, the countryside here in Sharravale casts its line into the city and watches it bob into the gently rushing water. Hunter's Bar has its own Facebook page and Twitter account. What it tweets, I do not know. It is nice here, there are cars, all this used to be fields, fake tales of San Francisco, who knows? Talk about keeping up with the past. Apparently, there used to be a blue plaque here commemorating the first place the Human League ever played live. It says something nice about the city and what it thinks of itself, in my opinion. There's a blue dog on the roof of the house I was born in. Perhaps it's evolving into a plaque. again, the countryside, encircled by the city, encircled by the countryside. The model of the model of the model of the model doing. The sun-dappled, snowbound silence of the steel city water wheel. It's like finding a smoky nightclub in the crypt of a Cotswold church. And here, in this parallel Dovedale, I begin to sense the end of Yorkshire as it slides into Derbyshire, just like when August slides into autumn and the first two letters are the same. Here, if I'm not mistaken, is the centre of Cummings world. That way lies the city. Up the hill a stretch is Great Malvern. Beyond us, in the woods, is Ashbourne and Dovedale. And beneath the bridge is East Leach Martin and the sea. The whole city is your jewellery box. Reach out and take what you want. I couldn't stand this bland sound anymore, so I walked toward my deck to turn it off. All I could see was the B-side of the disc, which had assumed the donut shape, the label on the outside rim. I reached for the arm, which was less than 1 micron long, but weighed more than Saturn, and time stood still. I knew I had to escape, but every time I tried to flee, the record was in front of me. It's strange to think of that sign, glowing through the nights, throughout the thousands and thousands of nights when I've been elsewhere. I told you the whole city was your jewellery box.